Hey, good morning, my Mate brethren. It's a beautiful day in southern Alberta, and my heart is just filled with gratitude today. That's all there is to it. Nothing but just joy and gratitude. I've got good brethren. I've got a beautiful sky behind me. Rocking my Mate this morning, and it's been one of the coolest 72 hours. Maybe it's because I think I'm rocking about 7 hours of sleep in the last 72, but traveled up to Grand Prairie this weekend and got to watch kids do battle on the wrestling mat. I don't think there's any other sport like it. I mean, I like all sports, but lots of them borrow language from the combat or the fighting world. We talk about attack and defend and strike and even this idea of wrestle or fighting on the field or on the court or in the pool. And I got to watch kids actually fight each other this weekend and engage in the wrestle of life, and it was just so neat. More stories than I have time to tell here of kids just facing their fears and their demons and stepping onto a mat against challenges and odds that were stacked against them, and just seeing the best in the human spirit come out. And so then we made the trip back and was able to come to church and partake of the sacrament. And again, I think sometimes that lack of sleep will put you in a state where, kind of like fasting, maybe opens the heart and the soul to the spirit. That lack of sleep for me, if I can keep from dozing off, I just feel things so strongly, and was struck by the importance of promises the Lord makes to us. And I actually couldn't help but I stood up in my ward and spoke for a minute about how sometimes as a dad, I'll say something and then I'm not even paying attention to what I just said to a kid, and they will respond by saying, do you promise? Do you promise? And then I got to go back and go, oh shoot, what did I say? Because at a very young age, this idea of a promise that is going to secure something in the future becomes clear to a child's mind. They realize that there's all manner of things that are maybe not going to happen, or that cannot be counted on. And if, especially the word maybe, what is maybe? Can we do this? Well, maybe. But when a parent promises, it ignites this hope, because a kid knows that there's something about a promise that should be a little different. And it's maybe why they're so brokenhearted if you break a promise. And when I think about the promises that the Lord has made to us, it's thrilling, because it secures them in the future. It allows us to have faith, which is a hope in things that aren't seen but are true. And I know that the Lord's promises for us are sure. Promise of eternal life, promises of redemption, promises of light in the midst of darkness, and peace in the midst of trial. And so it was with thinking about all those promises that then it just got better and better. My buddy Brad gets a hold of me, and this is bittersweet, because the poor guy, man, he's rerouted through the mountains, and he says, we're not going to make it to Calgary. Here's a couple tickets for Jordan Peterson. And so I called Dan, and he and Regan jumped in the car with Heather and I, and we drove up, and oh man, Brad, I don't know what you paid for those tickets, but to be 4 rows away from Dr. Jordan Peterson, and to just have a couple of hours of truth just taught so plainly and precisely, and in an auditorium filled with people who just want to imagine what their life could be, take aim and work towards it, was just so good, man. The notes I took from that are going to fuel these Mate moments for weeks. And then we get in the car, and we're shawarma in our bellies, and Heather says, guys, we got to see the Northern Lights. Look at this. And so we stopped the car and risked life and limb on the side of the highway outside of Claire's home, and looked up, and the sky danced in a way that I've never seen me. This is that lack of sleep, boys. A way I've never seen before in my life. And you just saw the finger of God trace a line through the sky, and to have thoughts of, Jordan Peterson inviting us to move towards the flickering lights that beckon you to a better and nobler path, like Moses with the burning bush, and to stand out there on the highway at midnight and see God dancing in the heavens was overwhelming. So anyway, I'll get some sleep, boys. But my point is, I love you. My heart's filled with gratitude. What a wonderful life with all its ups and downs, tragedy and triumph, truth and error, darkness and light. Look for the flickering lights, boys, and they beckon to you. Imagine what your life could be. Take aim and walk towards it. The Lord's promises are sure, and it's worth the wrestle. Love you, boys. Love you. Happy Mate.